Really want to get into this. This may be the last clip because I really want to get into this one.
Yeah.
You learn more when you lose than when you win?
Depends how you lose. If you play well and lose, then I think sometimes you learn less. But if you obviously have a debacle and really throw up all over yourself and you lose that way, then obviously you're going to learn an awful lot about yourself.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Wait.
Can you play that again?
First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Yeah, can you play it again? I don't think we've ever done that again. I don't think we've ever done that
Okay,
before. But
let's
this one's good.
This
Yeah.
one's good? Okay, I did
one's
good on
good.
this one. Hold on.
You learn more when you lose than when you win?
Depends how you lose. If you play well and lose, then I think sometimes you learn less. But if you obviously have a debacle and really throw up all over yourself and you lose that way, then obviously you're going to learn an awful lot about yourself.
Wow. 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 What you feel about this?
So no.
Yeah.
Let's start with this. Do you agree or disagree? Let's start with.
I agree.
Do we really?
I agree. Absolutely. I agree.
I said my disagree.
Really?
Right. Okay. You go first. You tell me why you agree.
Yeah, so the thing that comes to mind first and foremost are introverts.
Okay.
And let me tell you why I say that, right?
Okay.
Because you notice that he says when you play well and you lose, there's less to learn.
Yeah.
Simply because chances are if you've played well, then you've executed on your game plan. You've hit all the dots with your strategy. Like, you did what you had to do or what you know is your potential. You lost for most incidents, and especially athletes who've competed. I've competed, of course, even up to a college level. When you play well and you lose, truth be told, you walk away saying, all right, they got the best of me today. They're the better team. They're the better player. It is what it is. You move on. It's easier to turn the page on those. But when he says you mess up all over yourself, that's when you learn the most. That's major because, number one, it's revealing a lot of gaps in your game. The reason why I'm saying this connects so big with introverts is because it's typically those introverts, grounds crews, and air traffic controls alike that have fear beneath much of their moves, right? Even if they're moving in fear. If they're not moving, it's because of fear. So I think hearing one of the greatest competitors of all time telling you that you learn more through your baddest mess ups, it should almost make messing up at that level a little bit fun. Because if you have any sort of desire to be great at such a high level, you've heard every single person that we've highlighted on this show tell you, you don't get there without any mistakes.
Right.
So I'm connecting with this one big time, Knicks, because of that. And I'm immediately thinking of our introverts and saying, man, I would hope that hearing it from someone like a Tiger, knowing that my man won 82, professional tournaments, has first all-time wins in a lot of these categories, north of 1.5 billion, in money earned through the sport, that you would say, shoot, okay, if that's how he thinks about it, then maybe I need to change the way I look at what can happen if I'm not prepared, or if everything is not perfect, or if I don't really feel as comfortable and confident. Then your biggest lessons might just come out of those positions. So yeah, that's what I think about it.
Okay, so I see your point. So I
What you got on it?
semi-agree with it, right? I still think to a huge extent, you can still learn a lot from both situations. Now, why I think that is because even though you have what you think, you played your best and that person just got the best out of you, this, that, and the third, clearly you're not a sore loser. Sore losers, right? AKA myself, I could admit that I am a sore loser. I'm okay with that, right? You got to admit your flaws. I'm not trying to fix it. I just have to admit it, right? But sore losers are always like, yo, how did that person get the best out of me? I need to figure this out ASAP. I need to break this all the way down. And you actually don't think, even though you may have done amazing, you clearly didn't do amazing enough to beat that person. You didn't do amazing enough to finish the goal, to get the results that you wanted to do. So is that just like, oh, well, I did okay, you know? And so this person just did a little bit better. I could fix one or two things. No, I'm going to break that all the way down. Like, yo, okay, I could have done this different. I could have done that different. I could have done this. And it's almost to the same extent as if it went all wrong. I'm treating it as if it went all wrong because I didn't get the result. I didn't get the win. I didn't get what I was supposed to get. So I think each situation gets the same type of energy. There's always something to learn off of an L, right? It depends on how dedicated you are. And I'm not saying that like Tiger wasn't dedicated. We clearly hear it in the other ones, but I can't, and maybe that's why there was at the end of his career some L's that was like, that shouldn't have happened, right? Maybe that was okay to him because he was like, yo, I did my best. I can't. I'm going to be like, no, I thought I did great. However, clearly, this says I didn't if that person won. This said I didn't if I didn't make this amount of money. This said I didn't if I didn't get the results that I want. So I'm going to treat it like a complete L instead of a slight L. Instead of a, you know what? Okay, maybe it was just a bad day kind of vibe. Then how did I allow myself to have a bad day in a very important situation like that? How did I let that penetrate my whole like work or career or, you know, competitive vibe? I'm super big on like work and personal is separate. So nothing kind of goes through that, right? So what within the work still penetrated the results? Because the personal's not the issue. So now I have to break down into what part of the work or the career or the task actually got through that bugged me, that derailed me from getting the result. I'm breaking it all the way down. I'm not on some, I
Okay,
did
so
amazing.
let me ask you this. What about the stuff that you can't account for? So like in sports, we know, we call it the lucky bounce.
Yep.
Right? Like I saw someone yesterday shoot a three, the joint bounced twice at the top of the backboard and then fell straight into the hoop. It's like,
Yes.
okay, how can you account for, let's say that's the buzzer beater and that goes in? Or let's use it specifically to the business world. You have the superior product or service. You got the better product or service.
Yes.
But the customer you were after turns out that he was college roommates with your competitor, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to go with my man's right here. Like, how do you account for that? Like, I'm with you on that, and I agree. But how would you account for those situations then?
So the lucky bounce, right? You have to work on your accuracy. You can't leave it to luck. Point blank. You can't leave it to luck.
Wow. Okay. I love it. Yep.
To the second situation, you're not convincing enough. You're not, you allowed loyalty to get in the way of what was obviously the right choice. Like you needed whether your storytelling, whether your positive manipulation, you know what I mean? Whether it's the relationship that you should be connecting with, and make sure that friendship and business is different. Like they should understand that just because we're friends doesn't necessarily mean you instantly got me. I have to go with the clear winner. I have to go what is going to get me to the next level, right? I have to do that. If that person did not do that, you didn't do your job well. So there's not really different excuses. Sometimes it's like, even what we do, it's tech issues. Okay, so how can we avoid those tech issues? We You learn something. There's some things that are going to be out of our control, but we learn from that. That's not necessarily an excuse or less things to work from. It's just about like, how do I avoid this from happening? Okay, I see this. Let's do like the landline going straight to the computer. Let's stop going
Yeah.
off of Wi-Fi. Okay, the lighting was crazy. Let's do it at a different angle this time. You know, there's some things that we can't change right then and there, but that next time, oh, I'm definitely not letting it happen again. So there's
I
always
like that.
something.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that. And quite frankly, that's the way that I've been able to live my life without many regrets. Because now that you mention that, it actually reminds me, I've always pointed back to myself in any outcome that I wasn't proud of and said, what could I have done differently
Right.
to produce a different outcome? Instead of, like you said, instead of blaming it on the ball or the bounce or the relationship, it's like, yo, what could I like that. I like that. That's a good word.
And that's why I find it very confusing that Tiger said that, because understanding how competitive he is, right? And all the accomplishments he does, like, did you maybe rely on too much that this came too natural to you? Like, is that what it, because you can't knock him, but then this is why we can see flaws in your game and your personal life. Not to bring it up, but I'm just saying.
Yep.
Then we could see why, because sometimes when you know you're naturally good at it, you kind of like, I'm only going to put stress to it when I need to. When it's all messed up, now I got to figure it out. But I'm naturally good at this, so if it went south one time, the next time it'll be fine, you know?
Yeah.
You
No, that's
kind
a
of
good point.
depending too much on that natural gift. And that could be a good and a bad. I see that more of a bad, that he said that out loud like that, because it's like there are people who are legitly, and that gives a burning desire to beat Tiger if you are just like, if I gave it my all and he got the best of me, and there's less to learn from. Well,
and it's
that
true, though.
person is going to go every day.
Now,
then.
that's so true. That's so true, because a lot of people say nothing more dangerous than a little bit of success.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, yo, you think that, and it's like, no, you just got a taste.
Right.
Let you start treating that as if you finally arrived or achieved your personal legacy. That keeps you way below than where you're supposed to be. So that's a good point. That's definitely a good way to look at it. Like, don't walk away from a situation, pointing a finger like, oh, it didn't happen because he or she did that or didn't do that. That's a good word.
And I know, so this is the thing, I know it's hard to blame ourselves sometimes. Some people really struggle with self-accountability.
Why do you think that is?
It's easier to blame other people. It's easier to find the blame instead of really seeking in, like, what could I have done differently? And like, I understand it, because sometimes I struggle with that as well. Like, I'm like, did you not see what this person did? Like, why are we coming at me? That person needed to do A, B, C, D before I even touched it. What are you talking about, right? But then again, could I have made the process a lot faster if I didn't wait for that person? Like, could I have tapped that person? Hey, could I been a little bit more forceful instead of allowing the power to be so much on the other person to, steer the boat and things like that? Possibly, right? I have to think of things like that, and not a lot of people are good at that part. Not because it could be a self issue, like, yo, there's something wrong with me. That, like, are you telling me every single thing that happens is my fault? Yeah, I am in some way, shape, or form. And that's not easy to swallow all the time. That's not like every single thing that happens that doesn't go my way is my fault. I could have done something different in every single thing. To be honest, yes. There's
Yeah,
something. If you are a part of it, there is something. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. Especially for some of us who, let's just be honest, who come from, the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Like who don't have the opportunity to maybe press snooze a couple times more than we should, or, spend money we shouldn't be spending. Like at some point, like those habits or traits are legit deal breakers for many of us. So you translate that into the work side of things, like you said, not taking personal accountability, not going the extra step, that can backfire because we don't have second chances like that. So yeah, I do think it's critical. And also, and just to say this, if you're lucky enough to have someone in your life who's constantly on you that way, because that was the relationship between, even with me and my dad. And that at one point wasn't really as much as appreciated as it should have been. But as I look back and kind of revisited it with a new level of maturity, I'm like, man, I wish I had someone like that today, who's constantly reminding you of your potential and makes you feel as if nothing feels great. And while we think like, dang, you're never satisfied, but I benefited 100% from the push. Like, whoever's pushing you, they don't really benefit from your growth like that.
Yeah.
I guess, sure, through soul ties, but more than anything, you get the biggest gift or the biggest benefit because you're the one developing. You're the one becoming more prepared for your next walk. So yeah, I think for those who have that person in their life, man, go say thank you real quick.
Go say thank you.
Go say thank you real quick.
So I think that alone, like, could really determine what Tiger is. And there's so much we could really go over, but I really wanted to focus on these two things because it's like, one, we got to understand how to have that competitiveness, like you said, within our own lane, right? But then as well as accountability, like as well as like, there's things that we can learn from every single thing. There's something that we can do different with every single situation, good or bad. I even think on wins, you could still learn something. That's what, if he would have said that, like the wins, maybe not so much I'm learning from compared to the L's, but you gave it two different categories with the L's. And I was like, no, not so much. If I won, if I got what I needed to, I may not learn so much from that one. I would look for the gaps a little bit, but I wouldn't learn so much. But if it's a L in any way, shape, or form, oh no, we breaking that all the way down. We not treating that as a small thing. That's a big thing. We have to figure this out. You know this with even our situations with some of the webinars that we do. To some, it's a big win. To some, it's like, yo, do you know what you did? Like, oh my God, like no one else is doing that in the game. No one. And I'm like, nah, it's not enough. Like we didn't reach the goal that we wanted. So this not enough. It's not what we do.
Right.
What are you talking about? But
Right.
to some, it's a win. But to us, even though we understood that there was some things that were out of our control, no, sir,
Yeah.
no, ma'am. It's not good enough. We're breaking it all the way down. I'm treating it like this was all the way trash. I'm coming up with a whole new idea. No, don't come up with and I think that's the problem with me as far as, and I can't speak for all pilots. I'm just going to speak for me and my pilot, right? Because me and my pilot is unique, right? But I feel like if there's an L, like I'm all things that did work before clearly doesn't work anymore. I don't care if this is the first L. Like, it clearly doesn't work anymore. We got to think of a whole new plan, right? That's not always the greatest thing because it's so dramatic, and I'm aware of this. But sometimes it works out. Like, what is a happy medium for that?
Well, immediately what I think of the positive of that is you'll never get caught sleeping. Because as soon as something happens, you're like, oh, what's up? Hold up. Like, let's address this. Where a lot of people end up getting caught with, like they say, with their pants down because they was just like, nah, we good, and then you find yourself in a bad situation that you just shouldn't have been in. So I think you gotta play. Being a little bit patient in certain times just to give it enough time to fully play out. I would say that's the balance with it. But I see a lot of positives from it too, though. So I can't say that it's terribly, wrong or bad because, like I said, being that proactive person, especially in today's world of business and entrepreneurship, man, is so critical.
Look, I got to learn patience, people.
Patience.